So this is the full signal layout for the O2R. So first of all, make sure that your O2R stereo mix bus fader is up. That's this right over here. Let me zoom out a little bit on that. Oops, oh, that's, let's zoom out like this. There we go. So there's our stereo mix bus fader. Just make sure that's up to 0 all the way up. And then we've got the monitor section, control room set to stereo. So that's right up here. Sorry, my dog is snoring. It's very cute, but it's very snory. Control room right here, set that to stereo. Okay. Mic is in Studio E. Let's say that our mic is in Studio E and our O2R is in Control Room D. The Studio E is the one that's right in front of the O2R. So if you're in a different studio, obviously some of these control rooms, some of these numbers, these letters are going to be a little bit different. The input path, make sure that your mic is plugged into the XLR cable, is plugged into the studio bay and into the Control Room D input. Now, let's just say, for example, that we're going into mic input number 1. Okay, so in the Control Room patch bay, we're going to go from Studio E mic 1 into mic line preamp 1. And the O2R meter, right up here, set this to pre-EQ. Okay, set it to pre-EQ right there, boom. And then go over here to channel 1, right there. I know it has a big 2 on top of it, which is a bit confusing, but that's just because that was for something else. Set your input gain and your phantom power if you need to. Okay, so your input gain is right here. There's your gain knobs here, and your phantom power is right across the top there if you need it. Okay. Then we're going to go to our layer button 1 through 24, and that's layer button is right over here. Layer button's right there, 1 through 24. And then we're going to go to channel 1 here. And we're going to set that, before we do that, we're going to make sure our fader mode is set for fader. And then make sure we select channel 1. Now, you do not need to select channel 1. It's just really useful if you are just to kind of keep getting the idea around selecting the button all the time, always making sure that you're selecting stuff there. Okay, so then we're going to push that fader up and then make sure that your control room level is turned up over here, this control room level. And you can do this before or after you do all this other stuff. You can turn that control room level button up. At this point, we should be hearing signal from the input path. Now let's send it into our DAW. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep this turned up to 0 here. Keep the fader turned up to 0. You don't want to touch that. After you get that level and you got it, going good, you're going to keep that up at 0. And we're going to go over here to our routing section and push the stereo button so it's off, and then push the direct button so it is on. Still in layer 1 through 24. We haven't changed our layer from 1 through 24. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go into Pro Tools, and you're going to set up a new channel in Pro Tools. And I'm not going to launch Pro Tools right now, but you're going to set up a new channel in Pro Tools, set the input and the output for channel 1, and then that should be coming back into the O2R. That's all right here. Number one. And then have your input monitoring turned to on. And that's the only 3 things you need to do. You need to make a channel, or 4 things. You need to make a track. You need to set the input and the output to number 1 or whatever you're coming into. And then push that I button there. And if you want to actually record, you're going to actually set up the record enable button so you can actually record. Then back on the O2R, we're going to push the layer 25 through 48 button because that is our monitor path right there. Boom. When you do that, this fader is going to go, it's going to go right back down to the beginning down here. And what we need to do is we need to make sure that we got to hear that signal. So we're going to set our meter to post fader. Right here, post fader, by pushing this button here. And then you're going to select channel 25, and then channel 25, push your fader up. Okay, so that's over here. Select channel 25, which is the same fader as number 1, but once you push that layer 25 through 48 button, it's going to come down. You're going to select 25 here, and then push the fader up. And then you push it up until it's a good signal for you, because at this point you are mixing it with everything else. At this point you should be also hearing the signal. If you're not hearing it, just go back and revisit one of these steps, because at some point something went wrong. Now we want to send that vocal to the reverb. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this up a little bit different from how I've been talking about it. I want to set up my destination first, and this is how I actually use this stuff. I like to set up my destination so that way when I'm actually applying reverb later on, I can hear the reverb already. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press my layer master button. Make sure that my fader mode is still set for fader, and I'm going to go over here to my master layer. So when I push this button right here, all these faders are going to adjust their positions again. And I'm going to link these two together, 49 and 50. And the way I do that is I press the select button for 49, which is, you can see 49 and 50 are right here. So I'm going to press the hold the select button for 49, and then press the select button for 50. So press and hold for 49, press the select button for 50. Now they should be linked together. And I just make sure that my pan left and right, so make sure that my encoder mode here is set for panning, and I just turn one of these left and right. If you've ganged these things up previously at some point, then you can just turn one and the other one will flip as well. Then what we're going to do is we're going to, now we've got that set, we've got the faders up, now we're ready to send signal to the reverb, because that's our return channel for our reverb. And what we're going to do is we're going to press 25 through 48 right over here, 25 through 48, that's our monitor path. And then we're going to send signal to that reverb. So the fader mode, push the aux button right here, push that fader mode aux button. And then we're going to push the aux select button for number 1, which is right up here. And then we are going to turn the aux send up, push that fader up, because when you push that fader mode button, the auxes, everything comes back down again. It's going to be a whole bunch of going up and down. Those faders are going to go up and down a bunch of times. Aux select number 2. Do the same thing if you want. You don't have to do it for both of them. And then at this point, once you push that fader up, you're going to hear reverb on that vocal or whatever. It says reverb on the snare, but that was a mistake on my part. It's reverb on the vocal. All right. Once we got all that stuff set up, if we want to do the headphone mix, control room, studio out, left and right, patched into the Furman, left and right, studio monitor section set for 7 and 8. And then this here is just a headphone mix for everything all at once. But if you want to do it the way we just described it before, just refer to that other video with the headphone mix, the actual headphone mix video. Cool. And that's pretty much it. I'm not going to go through all that because it's a little bit different depending on how you want to do. This is actually setting up for just a basic headphone mix without the latency issues. So control room monitor section, stereo button set to off, control room monitor section, assignment buttons 1 and 2. That's all this stuff is right over here. The control room monitor section right there. It's all this stuff right here is what we're talking about. And then auxes 7 and 8 are going to be for pre-fader mode. And then fader mode is set to aux. And then you push them up for 7 and 8. Make sure you're on the right path, input path of the monitor path, depending on which one. And then we should be good to go. Put your monitor section back into stereo. Put them back into stereo here. And then make sure your studio up here also says aux 7 or aux 8 or both. Okay, great. And that should be it. It's a lot, but without having the board right here in front of me, it's kind of hard to talk about. What we really need to do is go in and use it and then talk about questions we have. So over the coming weeks, you're going to refer back to these videos and you're going to refer back to me, talk to Michael, talk to John Nader at school, and we'll help you get through this. It's a lot to do online, but you are fortunately have access to it and you can go in there and work on it.